Advisory services offered through Blackridge Asset Management, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Blackridge Asset Management is a separate and independent entity from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. And now, Today with Denny, here's Denny Artachi.
Good morning. Welcome to Today with Denny. And I think my producer's a little. Are you short-tempered today, sir?
No. I'm not short-tempered. I got a phone call from somebody.
Yes.
And then
for the extended car warranty, right?
Yeah, the extended car warranty, and then another this, that, and the other. And you know me, I got like 9,000 things going on at once.
9,000, and I'm going to say 5 hours sleep last night.
Let me see. I went to bed. Let me see. I was supposed to have a doubleheader yesterday,
and
so game 2 got rained out, so I got home early.
Okay.
So I went to bed at a normal time, and I got actually about 6 or 7.
Oh.
Now tonight's the night that's going to be the short night.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the short night tonight.
That will be. All right.
Yeah. Hair looks good, by the way, today. I got to compliment you on that.
VO5, man.
I like that, man.
It's
Can I?
Yeah, you could if you want to.
Wait a minute. Oh, it's not too bad.
It's not bad, right?
No, I just a little, wanted just a little, I know how you are about the hair.
Well, no, when it's like this, I don't care.
Okay.
It's when I put the plaster of Paris, which looks good because it's, all that.
That's right. I should know this by now because it's how you wear your headphones.
Right. Exactly.
It's either over or
right.
under. So what's the over under? There you go.
Exactly.
Right.
So you know what, man? You blew my Christmas present idea. I was going to get you a coffee mug for Christmas.
No, I don't drink coffee.
I guess you're full of coffee mugs at your house, huh?
Definitely.
All right. Well, last night we were having our dinner. Once or twice a week we have the family dinner, and our power went out. So for about an hour and a half, we know how the Amish ate dinner. So I broke out the grill, and I improvised. So we started talking about things, and I got to tell you, man, this world, I can't believe how crazier and crazier it's getting. It's like faster and faster. So we were talking about several things. And one of the topics was, money can buy you happiness. I go, no, it can't. It can buy you the ability to act crazy. Like this guy that I was reading about, John McAfee, the guy who invented the antivirus.
Oh, yeah.
And they caught him. Well, they didn't catch him. They found him in his cell. Apparently it was suicide. And, that part is not funny, of course. But, this is a guy who was so rich and was out of his mind. If you don't have money, they call you crazy. If you have money, you're eccentric, right?
Right.
So this guy would often be found like on a boat without a shirt, screaming at governments, with a gun close by. Recently, he said to the IRS, hey, I'm not filing a return. I have no intention to do so. Come and get me. Well, only rich people that can, extradite themselves to other countries can say stuff like that, folks. So here he was with all this money out of his mind. And apparently money doesn't buy you happiness. It allows you to be eccentric and live somewhere else until everything, circles around you. But besides that, obviously, there's no shortage of material looking at the news and looking at the political things. But I wanted to ask you, because you're a big baseball fan like me.
Yes.
What's going on with the pitchers, right? So the umpires are going out to the pitchers every other meeting, right?
This is the worst thing that they could have started.
Right?
It's affecting us in Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
Because it's even coming to the minor leagues.
Right.
They're looking for
everything.
Illegal substance.
Yes.
Is what they're looking for.
Okay.
Because apparently there's been some stuff that's going on that pitchers are using illegal substance to better grip the baseball.
Right, to make it harder for and you know what? There's some data that in the major leagues that the batting averages are the lowest they've been in about 20 years.
Yeah.
So I think the last couple of days, the umpires kept going up to the mounds. The pitchers finally just dropped their pants and said, "Hey, I've got nothing."
Max Scherzer did that. Max Scherzer did that. I got the video of it. I watched it yesterday. It was ridiculous.
So have they caught him with this?
No, nothing.
They can't prove it, huh?
Guy was clean. Completely clean.
But, conspiracy theories, and it's holding up the games. It's kind of, they're doing it almost like every inning. Mm-hmm. They're saying, hey, what have you got? What have you got? Now, I know that they used to put like Vaseline underneath the caps, and they would put some sandy material to scruff the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's kind of getting in the game. I kind of wish they would stop, I mean, so they're doing it in the minor league as well.
They're doing a minor league. They had a couple of pitching changes last night, and every time there was a pitching change, the umpire would ask for the pitcher's glove and his hat, and they'd inspect it to make sure there was no foreign substance on the on the hat or the glove, because this apparently has become a serious issue.
Apparently, right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know umpires were professional at seeing scuff marks or whatever.
Yeah, well, next thing you know, there's going to be X-ray machines sitting in the dugout where you run the glove through and check.
I think so. So, hey, you know what? On another note, basketball is really exciting because look, Atlanta and Phoenix are playing great ball. None of the people that we thought were going to take it all, they're watching it at home, drinking Grand Marnier, wishing for better times. So I think the NBA is pretty exciting the way it's turning out. We're still early. It's a 7-game series, but Phoenix is on fire, and Atlanta, they have their hands full with Milwaukee, but hey, they won the first one. Let's see what happens. I think they play tonight. I like sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's the great equalizer, and we talked about that last night.
What's your favorite?
What was my favorite sport?
Favorite sport? All-time favorite.
Oh, man, that's really hard to say. I love the brutal in-your-faceness of football.
Okay.
But I like the chess game part of baseball.
Right.
Where, between the pitchers and the catchers and the way they call the game.
Right. All the hand signals?
Yes.
The signals drive you nuts.
They do. But it's all chess game. They're trying to guess what the other person's trying to do.
Yeah.
So I love that part. But probably football because of the physicality of it. And they just crush each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that to themselves for all these years.
Some of those hits are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the guy's head hasn't come off his shoulders.
Well, they generally do, and it's hard to say. On another note, we're going to have Paul Meeks. We're going to call him after the first break. World-renowned fund manager. We're going to talk about inflation and things because you know what? The Fed's really playing down inflation. I don't think they're doing us a service, but they don't want people to panic. So, Fed Chairman Powell is saying, well, we're not going to see inflation to rise to the levels of the 70s. I'm like, wow, that's a good barometer to go by, right? The 70s and 80s when you could buy a CD for like 14, 18%. Well, yeah, thank you for telling me it's not going to go to there. But he's also saying that because of the pandemic, things are being artificially pushed up compared to last year. I'm not so sure about that. They said it's 5% in May. And look, real estate is still out of control. Prices for housing is higher in the last 20 years. And the trend does not look like it's slowing down. So that, to me, is inflation. We're going to have Paul Meeks after the break talk about it. And matter of fact, I think we're right here for the break, and we're going to call him right now and be back on Today with Denny. Okay, we are back on Today with Denny, and I always love to have this next guest on here, Mr. Paul Meeks. Paul, are you on the line, Paul?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Folks, if you don't know, Paul is arguably one of the most successful fund managers in history. He ran the largest technology fund in his days of Merrill Lynch of about $8 billion. I'm so blessed to partner with him. He helps clients. He's part of Independent Solutions, a great RIA with a private wealth group. And Paul, I think we should talk today. Well, whatever you want to talk about, I'm listening. But I want to kind of talk about the inflation because Chairman Powell is kind of downplaying it. He was quoted as saying, "Well, we're not going to see what we saw in the 70s and 80s," and I'm like, "Well, that's not a great comparison. We better not see 14 and 18%." But he kind of thinks that the shortages happening now between cars, chips, and workers will fade over time. We should go back to 2%. But the fact of the matter is, we saw 5% in May, and I don't see house prices shrinking anytime soon. So what is your take on inflation going forward?
So first of all, you've hit the nail on the head. It's clearly, in my view, the most important variable.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a look at investments, there's all kinds of macro, big picture stuff and micro, small picture stuff. But man, the macro is trumping the micro, and the king of all macro issues is inflation. And so there's two schools of thought. The bulls believe, and this is what Fed Chairman Jay Powell is rooting for, that the only reason we have inflation, which is undeniable, we've had pretty big consumer price index readings the last 2 months,
yes,
is because we have pent-up demand. We're reopening the U.S. economy, and we don't have a supply chain that has caught up just yet to the demand. All right, hope so, because the bearish argument is that we are seeing inflation that's not short-term, but it's actually long-term or structural. And if that's the case, that could be bad. And I don't think that inflation a la 1980, when inflation actually briefly got up to about 15%, is in the cards. But I do believe that if it is long-lasting, even at this heightened level, that there could be some hell to pay. The way I come out on this is not to half-ass it, but I am worried, and I'm waiting for more data.
Right.
I hope the Fed and the bulls are right, but as of now, I've been positioning portfolios not for Armageddon, but for turbulence. So I've downplayed tech and growth stocks, even though that's kind of what has brought me to the dance over my career. And I've emphasized dividend-paying, steadier stocks that should do better in this environment, particularly stocks in a couple sectors of the economy, including materials, financials, industrials, energy. You could actually make the case that companies in those four sectors of the U.S. economy may actually get a benefit from inflation versus most of the other companies in other sectors of the economy could get dinged.
Well, they're in sectors that we're going to utilize. But, one other thing I love our conversations because I learned from you. One other factor, obviously, is did you ever think, I certainly haven't thought about, that I would live to see that we've spent roughly $10 trillion in the last 12 months. I mean, that is such an astronomical figure. How could that not affect inflation in the intermediate, possibly the long term?
Yeah, that's why, Denny, I'm kind of playing this until proven differently on the cautious bearish side, because $10 trillion, which is what the U.S. government has thrown at us ever since the beginning of COVID through two different means. One is monetary policy, which is controlled by the Federal Reserve Board, our central bank. And the other one is your buddies in Congress in Washington, D.C. They control tax and spend, in this case, the spend, which is called fiscal policy. So between those two, it's about 10 trillion. And to put that in perspective, in 2019, before we got hit by COVID, the U.S. economy, number one in the world, was a $22 trillion economy.
Exactly.
So $10 trillion is a little bit less than half of that. That is a lot of stimulus. And over the long term, yes, that can be scary inflationary.
Well, the thing about it is I love the fact that, yes, you have these dividend models where you buy equities that are already yielding between 2 and 3% with about a 5% upside potential, because let's face it, bonds are not sexy now, nor they will be in the immediate future, will they, with the way things are?
At some point, if inflation continues,
yes,
which means interest rates will rise in response, which means the coupons that you are paid and earn on buying bonds will rise. So at some point, if this trend continues, the coupons on bonds will be high enough, so they yield a lot more than alternative investments, but that's not the case right now.
Right.
Because interest rates have come from essentially zero. So while climbing, the typical interest rate on a bond, 2 or 3%, is still going to be probably less than a dividend that you can find on a stock. And that stock has price appreciation potential, whereas the bond could actually lose principal value as interest rates rise. So yeah, I still think that bonds are pretty much uninvestable, even for conservative investors, older investors.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just focus on a portfolio of U.S. stocks, because I still like the region relative to the rest of the world of dividend-paying companies that all have dividend yields of 2 or 3% at least. And they're in those targeted sectors that I told you about that either benefit from inflation or get less hurt from it.
I don't know why CNBC doesn't feature your knowledge. They just, I always say Paul does more than growth. And in these times, investors need to rebalance their portfolios. They need to understand from your point of view that it's, especially if you're already retired, you need to watch your dollars and cents, folks. And you need to consider planning for what could happen. And but they're not interested in that, Paul. They want you to talk about these high flyers because I think most people, they're just interested in big time growth. The music's playing; it's never going to stop, and we're just going to keep dancing.
Yeah, tech will have its day again because these are America's most innovative companies, and of course they're special.
Sure.
I grant that, but I'm just a little bit worried about the macro backdrop, nothing to do with the micro. Most of the tech companies I follow continue, even in the teeth of this thing, to report revenues and earnings much better than forecasted, and they guide for the next quarter to more of the same. So not a fundamental issue at all.
Well, hey, I think we should fly you down there, have a conference for investors wanting to hear from you. We can play some music, have some fun, maybe even fly in Charlie Sparaza, and he'll do all the cooking.
All right.
So, Paul, it's always a pleasure. I know how busy you are. Folks, if you'd like to know more, please call me because Paul helps run a private wealth group that gives you access to things that you don't normally see, private bonds and things like that. Call me at 561-305-8226 or call into the show. Paul, any parting shots before I let you go, my friend?
No, I think we've covered it. And again, stay tuned for the inflation watch.
Yes.
And also, inflation has a bunch of different pieces. And I tell you, the most important piece is wage inflation.
Yes, that's right.
Because commodity inflation, such as the rise in the price of a barrel of oil, that probably is transitory. However, wage inflation, once wage inflation is the genie that gets out of the bottle, it's super hard to put it back in. So wage inflation is all you need to watch for.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to run a small business, when you have to pay the high school kid $15 an hour to show up. It's kind of hard, folks. So that you're spot on that. And again, always a pleasure. Paul Meeks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being on the show with us. Do we still have another call? He's okay. So it's something to think about. Paul he makes common sense. He thinks he's such a nerd with this stuff, but he's actually cooler than he gives himself credit for, because he does have a common sense approach to it. And look, some people think inflation's good because they say, oh, that means the economy's going and people are spending money. But no, it's not good over a sustainable period of time, because as the cost of, especially for those who are retired, let's face it, that dollar is shrinking in an inflationary period. And every investment that you have has to factor that in. I have a PR firm that they look for different publications, and I was quoted recently. I don't know if they'll use it. One was the Epoch News, and the other was Reader's Digest. And it was basically about how to invest and plan for inflation and the financial planning process. I always try and say to clients that I meet that, look, the fundamentals start off with a budget. You need to know what's coming in, what's going out. I have a personal Excel sheet that I use, but there are some templates you can buy. There's financial planning software. You can see, because let's face it, if inflation wasn't relevant, then I don't think anybody would invest in equities, because they invest in equities because they realize they need to make more than 2 to 3% on their money if they're going to withstand a 30-year retirement. but it takes a lot of balancing. There's risk in everything. And a lot of clients, the problem is they don't invest properly to begin with, and then they emotionally make changes following the trends in the market. You know, the dog chasing his or her tail. And that's just not how it works. Typically, you have to invest the right way the first time, make adjustments on a small scale, you know, rebalance 5 to 10%, you know, here and there. And it also depends on how old you are. If you're already retired, folks, every dollar means a lot. I mean, Evan, when you go to Publix, it's not getting cheaper, is it?
No. That's why I don't shop there.
Well, where do you shop?
I shop at another big box store.
Oh, you don't want to say?
No. Well, here's the deal. Publix, a gallon of milk, 2% is $4.29.
Unbelievable.
At another store, it's $2.79.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, that's the other thing, too. When I was quoted in the Reader's Digest article, I said, folks, deals are out there. You have to find the time to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Stop watching TV. You know, so many Americans watch 30 hours of TV a week. It's true. So why don't you take a couple of those hours, go online and shop for the deals? Because every dollar you save is a dollar earned, as the saying goes. And how can you possibly invest if you don't know how much discretionary money you have at the end of each month? I practice what I preach. I don't drive a big fancy car because that stuff, I don't care about that. I have a nice home. I live within my means. When the pandemic happened, like everyone, it affected my business greatly. But I had enough reserves and a plan to get myself out of it. Now, there is a difference. I don't work for a company. I'm a business owner. So no one cares if I don't get up, shave, and go to work. And it's tough. It's not for everyone. A lot of people do need to punch a clock and just, you know, do their job, have a good attitude, and they get paid. I don't know what that's like, folks. But I think we're time for another break. We will be back on Today with Denny. Okay, we are back on Today with Denny. You know, I don't know how I did this to myself, but I'm trying to be you. I'm playing a show tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, wow. So can I get the over-under on your sleep?
Well, no, I do make sure I get sleep, but it may be tough. I don't do late shows.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah, but you just recently added a show because you posted it and I read about it.
Yes, but they're not late shows. Okay, so tomorrow I'm playing at Conky Joe's.
Okay.
And in Jensen Beach, that's in a late 8 to 11 show. That's not too late.
That's
later than I'm normally up.
Okay.
On Saturday, I'm at Blue Point in Juneau, which is a great place out on the water. And then Sunday, I'm at Mulligan's Beach House from 4 to 7.
Okay.
So, you know, nothing's going to get in the way of sleep. Are you DJing, you know, the next 3 days?
I have a busy week because I have baseball.
Okay.
And then I have an early morning gig Saturday in Fort Lauderdale from 8 to 12 noon.
So you're DJing at 8 in the morning?
8 in the morning. It's at it's a fundraiser type event.
What kind of music do you play at 8 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. Wake Up Little Susie. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. Listen, I go where the money is.
Exactly.
I go where the money is. So it's at a park down in Coral Springs, actually.
Okay.
And then when I'm done there, I hightail it on the turnpike up to Port St. Lucie to the ball field and get ready for baseball.
And that's it.
That's it. And then Sunday's church day.
Yes.
Sunday's always room for church day.
Always. Got to have it, right?
Yes, got to have it.
I'm trying to coordinate a Bible study on Wednesday nights, and we were supposed to do it last night, and I had a power shortage because I enjoy Bible study because there's so much wisdom in the Bible. I mean, for those who don't understand, I feel for them because it's so relevant in today because it's so out of control what I keep seeing. I want to post an example. I know we don't get political, and we don't, Evan, but look at this. So as Charlie Crist begins his pursuit to the governor's office, you know, that guy who decided he was Democrat, then Republican, and now a Democrat again, and now he's an independent. I don't flavor of the month. So his seat is being challenged, And one of the candidates is a guy named William Braddock. He told activists not to support his competition, Anna Paulina Luna, because he would send Russian and Ukraine assassins after her. Folks, I'm not making this up. He was quoted just saying this in Politico. And then he says, well, I don't want to end anybody's life for the good, but for the good of the people of the United States of America, I will consider it. Something like that. It seems like about 4 years ago is when the dinner bell was rang, where politicians no longer remain civil. And the crazier they are, I think the more populists say, hey, I want to vote for them because I like them, or they're like me, or I don't know. But I would like to see civility come back and just discuss the issues. Hey, are you going to vote on increases? Are you going to, how are you going to use the money? But I can't make this up. I keep seeing every day where someone says or does things that I never thought I'd see a politician do. But that's the sign of the times. And I try and watch less news. We talk about this, right? Because nothing has changed.
Right.
There's still, I don't know what to believe. I think the most recent is now they have Biden's kid was paying for escort services and put it on the old man's credit card. I mean, God, is that true? I mean, I don't know. They're talking about that. And then the other side is talking about the virus and vaccines and the face diapers.
Yeah.
New York has finally, I think yesterday, lifted all restrictions due to COVID.
Yeah.
So Governor Cuomo did that. So he did one thing that they like.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to lynch him up in New York. He's not that popular as a governor.
No, they don't like him too
much.
Now,
our governor, I really like Governor DeSantis. He's a self-made guy, a military veteran. Everything he's gotten in his life seems like he earned it himself. So they did a poll, interestingly enough, between him and Donald Trump. Who would they vote for as president? And he edged out President Trump.
Yeah.
Not by much, but I know that there was talk about President Trump maybe running with him as his running mate. Yeah, I don't know if that would be good, because can you imagine if Trump runs again and he loses? You think people were upset last time?
Yeah.
How would they be if he runs again?
The conspiracy theories would be through the roof.
Through the roof, right.
Yeah.
So it might be better for Republicans to have DeSantis run by himself, because he has a great track record. People are moving to Florida like unbelievable.
Could you imagine if DeSantis ran and Trump was running as his vice president?
I would pay to see that. That would
so
be
would I.
That
else. Would be hilarious.
Well, he's the president, but he really doesn't know much. He's a good guy. That would be.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that. But I hope it doesn't happen, because look, I think Governor DeSantis. I hate to lose a good governor. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Who would take over? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush will jump back in the picture.
Really?
Who knows?
What
I don't
happened to Jeb Bush?
He fell off the face of the earth.
He went into the witness protection program.
We have not heard from him.
Right. I don't know what he's doing.
No.
All right. So
okay.
There you have it, folks.
There's your politics.
There's your political spectrum here on the Today with Denny show, featuring my great producer, Mr. Evan here. So we don't know what's going to happen.
No.
And folks, look, I made a joke. I didn't know Bonnie was a conservative, and she is.
I didn't know until this morning. When you started talking with her.
But I know she's a Trump supporter, and I'm a Republican. But like I tell her, come on, you can't tell me that he hasn't said or done some crazy things. And folks, we cannot idolize politicians. What's that joke? That's like going to the club, and not that we would go to these kind of clubs, thinking that the stripper really liked you.
Yeah.
Well, of course she liked you. You just gave her $300. And these politicians, maybe they enter in with good intentions, but once they're in and they're with the rest of the sharks, I bet they take them in a back room and go, okay, Evan, now that you've won, let me tell you how it's going to be going forward. And you either get with the program or you're going to be out after one term. Okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's what happens, but you can't idolize. We're all flawed human beings, including myself, folks. I try and be as transparent, direct, and honest as I can, but I played in famous rock and roll bands for years. I didn't always make the best choices. In fact, I crack myself up looking back at some of the choices I've made, but I've lived to tell about it. Even the great Christian Evan probably had some. You look back on your DJ career.
Listen,
maybe?
I look back at my club days.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to be I'm very transparent about it, especially on my morning show.
Right.
I used to DJ in the bars down in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, don't follow when I tell you this, I used to MC all those wet t-shirt contests and bikini contests.
Yes, Summers on the Beach in Lauderdale.
There you go.
Yes.
Art Stocks Playpen.
Yes.
Okay, the candy store.
Yes.
All right, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
The pig pen.
You were there during that time DJing?
Mr. Pips. September's. Christopher's.
Oh my God.
The list goes on and on and on.
I'm going to bet that you didn't.
JW's East and West.
Really?
The House of Rock.
This was before you met your wife, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
I'm from that era.
You've been married 3 times.
Yes. And 3rd time's a charm.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yes, I remember those days vaguely, barely.
Yeah.
It was, man, that was like the wide
That was the
open.
good days.
We
played
good?
vinyl back in those days, dude.
Were they good that we would go to sleep at like 6 or 7 in the morning?
I'd get off work. I'd work JW's West.
Okay.
Get off at 4 a.m. Mike Washington and I, his band Fantasy, played the clubs that I DJ'd in.
Right.
Tell Mike to tell you some of those stories.
Well, we did talk about you at our last gig at Mulligan's.
Okay.
Mike and I are going to be playing tomorrow. And
I got his number. I wonder if he'd answer his phone.
I don't know if he gets up early. It's hard to. You want to try him?
I got his number.
He's got that deep Lou Rawls voice, but he can sing high pitch.
The guy's a phenomenal bass player.
He's
unbelievable. The guy can slap a bass.
Not only that, he's a great, great human being. Yeah. And folks, to me, that matters. You can be a great, gifted musician, but if you think you're all that, I don't know. I'm not. Do you have his number?
Let me look at my phone.
Call Mike Washington. Let me see if it pops up. My phone is like forgetting who I have. You should have his number.
Let me look here. I do. It's in my. Give me 2 seconds.
All right. We could take a break and see if we can get him on the phone because musicians are not normally up at this time.
Well,
but I have a feeling Mike might be up this time. So I thought I have it. I know I have it somewhere. And why don't we take a break if we can?
I found it.
Oh, you did find it?
I got it. It just popped up.
You want to try it now?
You want to take a break and I'll call him on the break?
We're due for a break, and then we'll see if we can get him on the phone.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we are back on Today with Denny. It looks like Mike went right to voicemail. So I don't know. We should try and see if we can get Sherry on the phone. So she's a sweetheart, a musician, and she says, don't ever call me before 10 o'clock.
She's going to hate me.
And before I've had my coffee. Let's see if we can get her on the phone. She would make a great co-host, wouldn't she? I mean, she's just funny, bubbly, and all right, so we're going to try this, folks. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but if we can get her on the phone, don't even tell her who you are. Just pipe her in.
All right, it's ringing.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 rings and no answer.
All right.
No answer.
Well,
she probably doesn't recognize the phone number.
Exactly. Right.
That's
I could try my phone, but
we can't put that on the air.
Well,
though.
I can kind of put it on speaker, and you think that
you
would
could
work?
try. I don't know if it'll work or not, but you could tell we're trying to call her on the other line. She's not answering.
Since when do we not try something out of the normal on our show here?
I'll try Michael again one more time. In the meantime, while you're doing that.
Hey, we haven't heard from Palm City Charlie today.
Yeah,
I hope he's doing okay. He usually pipes in, and little Tommy's in timeout. He called me. Yes,
okay.
He can't make the call. No, it's ringing. She's not picking up.
Oh, now I got a ring on Michael Washington.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe he was trying to dial out when I was calling him.
Your call has been forwarded.
All right, so that's not happening.
All right, folks. Well, we tried to get up 2 interesting characters, musicians, and they're sleeping in. What can you say?
Voicemail.
Yeah, something like that. So I brought the acoustic. Should I do some song parodies of some of these great stories?
Remember, you're limited to a certain amount of time.
Well, no, it's only if it's a
break out the
cover.
Okay,
but if it's an original,
okay,
we don't have to worry
about.
Right,
break out the acoustic.
All right, let me see.
I like that acoustic.
All right, so
we'll be able to pick everything up right on the microphone too.
I think we can. You know.
Oh yeah, there we go.
All right, so this is a parody. You ever hear that Long-Haired Country Boy by Charlie Daniels?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is my version based on how crazy things are. People don't like Biden. They think that Trump is worse. Democrats hate Republicans, but Republicans hated them first. I ain't trying to get into politics. I don't even watch them news. You can shove this line rhetoric and the voter fraud, them political blues. What we have here's failed to communicate, 'cause the right don't like the left. Left wants all the right's money, wanna take it till there's nothing left. But I don't like the mouthwash they're using. Both sides are cuckoo, and it's true. They say we all start drinking. Forget those don't been political blue.
I feel like I should be in the backwoods of Kentucky.
Yeah,
the way you twang there.
I maybe I should have played some banjos on the side.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So this is also apropos, because driving is getting crazy. You know why? Fellow damn New Yorkers.
Yeah.
When I'm driving, I swear that we have philosophers out there. What I mean by that is, I think, therefore I brake.
Don't you hate when you're driving down the road and the guy in the left lane's going, the speed limit's 65, and he's going 55.
Right.
And he stays there.
Right.
And there's a whole line of cars all the way behind him.
I'll do one better.
Drives me nuts.
On Friday night, I'm going home from Mulligan's. It's about 10:30, 11 o'clock, not late.
Okay.
There's a guy driving a Sierra GMC.
Okay.
His lights are off. And
what?
Yeah, his lights are totally off. He's looking at his cell phone. So I'm beeping my horn to help him because, hey, maybe this guy doesn't realize his lights are off.
Okay.
He's looking at his phone. This goes on for about 2 miles on 76. And his license plate says Gold Boy or Gold Bob something. Hey, if you're listening, dude, I would, So he's looking at his phone. I'm beeping the horn. Finally, after the 3rd mile, he puts the lights on. But he never heard me or anything. He kept looking at his, So this next song is, yes, New York drivers, they're pretty bad. And so this is kind of like that Little Sister Dwight Yoakam Elvis tune here. New York driver, don't you? New York driver, don't you? New York driver, don't you sit there and complain. Sit there and sing, why don't you move? New York driver, I don't care how it is up north. Well, you don't even speak good English. You're angry, it's true. You want everything now, and you think you own a town, it's true. New York driver, don't you? New York driver, don't. New York driver, don't you hold up coffee lines for questions and demands, it's true. New York driver, I don't care how it is up north. New York driver, I don't care how it is up north. 'Cause Cuomo's ruined all the lives and it's true.
You should go into the parody song business.
Yeah,
and do parody songs.
Maybe I could. Maybe I could do stand-up comedy. I make fun of myself. I'll have them in stitches.
There you go.
All the great decisions I made in my life, ladies and gentlemen. But I think I'm going to put this away because there was another one, but I think I might be pushing the envelope a little bit too much if I sing that one. So back to common sense and economics, because yes, I'm a financial planner. Yes, I do entertainment. I want to talk spearheading on what Paul was talking about with inflation and investing. Most people need to understand, if you're an investor, if you're younger, you have time on your side. If you're older, you have less time on your side. You have to be more cautious in how you're investing. So when most clients sit in front of me, I try and educate them on the many ways that they can invest, because there's a certain amount of things that you need to tackle. You need to know when you're going to take Social Security. You definitely need a good health insurance plan in Medicare. Medicare can be confusing only because there are so many companies to choose from. But folks, there's really only two ways you're going to do this. Either an Advantage plan, where a company like a Humana or Blue Cross is your primary, or a Medigap plan, where Medicare is your primary. And the difference is you can go anywhere with the Medigap plan. The Advantage plans, you have to follow networks. As far as health insurance for people under 65, I recently became certified with Blue Cross because I've said this, that a lot of people believe the rhetoric on the news that they cannot get health insurance. And Evan, you have a plan that they pay how much in a subsidy for you, for your family? You get a good deal, don't you?
I have mine through the affordable.
The ACA.
The ACA.
Correct. Well, what I'm saying is they subsidize, give you money each month. So how much are you paying a month for your health insurance?
I'm paying about $45 for Rachel and I have Oscar.
Okay.
And it's a very good plan, actually.
There you go. That's what you're paying. And then you have your copays. A lot of people do not understand that through the ACA, and Biden has increased open enrollment, so it's still here till August, that you can get $500, $600, $700, $800 as a subsidy to apply towards health insurance. And then you have to deal with deductibles and premiums and copay. So that's another subject I could spend in the air. But in the world of investing, you have to look at how you're investing risk-wise. You have to make sure you have the right health insurance in case you get sick. You have to also understand the benefits of life insurance itself, because there is no substitute for that. If you'd like to know more, my number is 561-305-8226. It's 561-305-8226. I've never had a meeting where clients left and said, I learned nothing from you, and this was a big waste of time. That's not usually how it goes. Most people like the fact that I don't sugarcoat things. I'm very transparent and direct. There's only so many ways that you can successfully get to, your financial dreams and a goal that you have set forth. And it's using multiple vehicles. Yes, you have to have investments. Yes, you have to have insurance products to buffer the investments. Yes, you have to have the right life insurance, because what happens to you if you get sick or if one of you pass away, you have to be ready for that. You have to know also how are you going to leave your assets to the next generation. And the other proponent is minimizing taxes. So these are the type of complex things that I like to discuss with clients. I am local. I do have an office in Jupiter. I live there. And keep in mind that I love entertainment, but I have a passion in my business as well. I help many people, and I try and simplify it as much as I can. And I try and understand what it is that clients are trying to do. And I typically find ways that they can do it, and they make their own decisions. The worst thing that you can do is find an advisor that tells you what you have to do with your money and your life. Well, that's not what I do, folks. And there are many good advisors out there, but many of them specialize with one or two issues. I have great partners, and I usually tackle 4, 5, 6 issues that clients need to address. And it takes a team to do that. And I'm very blessed with Peak and Independent Solutions and tax professionals that I partner with to deal with these complex issues. On the subject of politics and world issues, I laugh about it because if I took it seriously, I think I would cry. And folks, just remember that we can only control our own thoughts and our own personal actions because this world is just getting crazier by the second. I saw, Evan, they had this weightlifting contest where this girl was a guy a year ago.
Oh, yeah. She's in the Olympics. She's the only transgender in the Olympics.
Of course, she beat all the females. Is that, folks, is that common sense? Is that really? These are the kind of things that I see and witness. I can't do anything to change it. I'm too busy to protest or get a sign on a bridge. But it is absolutely insane, some of the things we see out there. And I'm afraid that the gap is increasing and increasing. But my whole point is, don't focus on that. What good is it going to do you? Nothing. Focus on eating well, exercising, being positive, being grateful that you're alive every day. I'm always happy when I get to wake up. How about you, partner?
Oh, definitely. I without a doubt.
Everything's in God's hands, and that gives me such peace and solitude. It really does. But I'm in no hurry to find out, what's on the other side. So I want to live this life as much as I can. I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can. And I think Dalai Lama had a great saying that most human beings, our goal and purpose is to help others. If we can't help others, at least don't hurt others.
Yeah.
And I think if most people follow that, the world would be great. And we can't control people with the power and money who want to ruin other people's lives. It's probably not going to affect us directly. So that's enough of my sermon for today. But I want you have a great day. If you're around Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will be playing music, and I'll see you next week on Today with Denny.